Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another tutorial, man. So, I know you guys miss me. My apologies, guys. I've been quite busy. So, yeah, but you know what? We're back into it, man, with another tutorial, guys. So, this week I want to do some, basic color correcting and color grading in Adobe Premiere. Um, like I said, I'm not using Adobe Premiere that much. I'm more, a Davinci Resolve kind of guy because I believe even the color correcting and color grading in DaVinci is just on another level, man. So yeah, but I'm gonna do it for you guys in Adobe Premiere because I know there's still a lot of you guys are still using that software. So yeah, let's take it away, guys. Check it out. All right, so in Adobe Premiere, guys, I've selected some footage over here. As you can see, this footage, it's very flat. This was shot in Vlog. By the way, I'm using a Panasonic GH5S. So I shot this in Vlog, which is a flat profile, which makes it easier when you guys are color grading or color correcting. You can really play around with your colors a little bit more and get the most out of it. So, all right, so here's the clip. So first things first, as you can see, we are in the color tab, right? So you need to be in the color tab. I've got my scopes open as well, as you can see on this side. I've got my scopes here, some vector scopes, and some waveforms and stuff. Alright, so first thing that you want to do obviously is to, if your footage, your clip is not selected, make sure your clip is selected. So click on it. You can go, I don't know if you guys, if your software is set up the same way as mine, but over here you'll see that I've got my lumetri color open. If it's not here, then you can just go to your effect controls and you can maybe just, over here, your effects, search for lumetri color, and then you can just put it on your footage and it will pop up over there. Alright, so I've got this open. So basically, the first thing that I normally do is I would go to my basic correction, right? And I think it's very important, guys, that you should make sure that your footage is properly white balanced. So that is the very first thing that you need to do, is to white balance your footage. Now in this case, in this footage, I'm lucky to have some whites in the shot that I can work with, so it makes it a little bit easier. So, but I'll show you also, if it is that you do not have any whites in your shot, how you can do that manually. So what I'll do now is I'll just go over to my white balance selector, right? And I want you guys to look at the scopes over here and see exactly, obviously what we want to do is we want all of these things to be in line, kind of even it out, right? So as you can see, the blues are a bit high, right? So we need to bring that down a little bit. But the nice thing about this WB, which is your white balance selector, is you click on it and you can click on any white in your footage, right? And now you can see the adjustment that it has made to my waveform over there, right? So I think we can work with it, right? But now let's say you do not have any whites in your footage. How do you do that? So I'm just gonna undo that quickly, and then I would say you play around with your temperature and your tint a little bit. So as I said, our blues are a bit high, so let's make it warm a little bit. I would say maybe over there, and then I'll just play around with my tint, just to even it out a little bit. Yeah, I would say I can work with it. All right, so that's what you can do. So let's leave it as it is. All right, so now the next thing that I would do is, and remember guys, this is not just my workflow. Obviously, there's many different ways that you can do this. You need to find a way that works for you, right? So this is my workflow. So that's the first thing that I do, is my white balance. I set my white balance. I will close my basic correction and I'll go to my curves. And then on my curves, what I'll do is I'll select, my shadows, some midtones, and highlights. I'll just make, you know, make sure I may make a selection over there, those 3 points. So what you want to do is you want to bring down, if you look at your scopes, you want to bring this down to, to 0, where it just touches 0. So make sure that you don't take it down too much, because you don't want to crush your blacks, right? So I'm going to bring my shadows down a little bit. I would say there looks kind of good. And now I'm going to take up my highlights. Also, what you must take into consideration when you increase your highlights, to make sure that it does not, go over that 100 line, 100% line over there. So yeah, I would say that looks okay to me. Maybe I can just check my midtones a little bit. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that looks proper to me. All right. So now I'm gonna close my curves and I'll go back to my basic correction. So now obviously here's where you wanna know, make some changes. Maybe add some contrast. Let's take it up and let's just see. So you have to be very, very careful when you move these things around, so you don't add too much or you don't add too little. I would say let's go to around about 18. Yeah, 18 can work. Shadows, let's check, should we bring it down or what should we do? Maybe not too much. I'm taking it up a little bit to 6.7, around 6.7. That's fine. Whites, I'm gonna leave it as it is. Blacks, maybe I can push it back a little bit, not too much. Yeah, I think that looks okay. And obviously your saturation, you want to add some saturation a little bit, not too much. Be very careful when you, because look, that's not what we want. We don't want yellow footage, you understand? Although my friends in this video, they are labeled as yellow bones, but but we don't want them to look yellow. All right, so I'm just gonna dial it back a little bit. I would say maybe around 110. Around 110. Okay, so let's just check before and after. That's the before, and that's what the the basic color correction on it. So before, after. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go to my curves. Normally what I would do, if this was now done in Davinci Resolve, what I would do is I would try and qualify my skin tones, right? I'm more kind of isolated, quarantine it, put it on lockdown, you know what I mean? But now, unfortunately, I am really not liking the way it's done in Adobe Premiere, how the program itself handles that procedure. So I'm not gonna show you guys how to do that. If you want to play around with it, what you can do is you just go down to your HSL secondary, and then here you can just play around, select your skin tones, and then just try and qualify your skin tones. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not gonna go into those things. I'm just gonna, like I said, go down to my curves again, because now what I want to do is I want to make sure that my skin tones are proper, right? So obviously, how do I do that? I think I've showed you guys in a previous tutorial how to do that. I think it was our green screen tutorial, how to do green screen in Adobe Premiere. So I showed you guys a little bit how to do that, so I'm just gonna dive into that again. So what I want to do is I'm just gonna enlarge this a little bit, and then maybe we can work on his forehead, right? So we are now in our curves tab. I'm just gonna scroll down a bit, select my effect controls over here, because what I want to do is I want to mask out a part of his skin, right? So we can check exactly if the skin skin tones, and this is falling exactly on the skin tone indicator line. So I'll show you guys exactly. All right, so we are in our effect controls, right? So go to opacity, and then you can just select this, and then now we're just gonna mask it out. We just want a piece of his skin. All right, so now that is masked out. Now we can go back to our lumetri scopes over here and then check if those skin tones are proper. And as you can see, this is a vector scope. As you can see, this is your skin indicator line. So we want whatever's happening over here to be on that line. All right, so I'm gonna have to dial this back a little bit. So all right, so let me just do this quickly. Go over there, and I would go then to my U versus U, right? Select over there, and then I will click on my skin, and now I will just bring this up a little bit, dial it back a little bit. Alright, so I think that looks kind of okay to me. I think it's on that line. As you guys can see, it's on that line, so it has to be on that skin indicator line. Okay, so now obviously to get rid of the mask, we go back to our effect controls, and then we just delete or cut the mask. Alright, so let's go back to the microscopes over there, and then we can just do that. Okay, so that looks okay to me, right? But now we're not done. That was not just our basic correction, because that's the first thing that you must do. You do your basic correction before you even get to color grading, guys. Now in this case, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a LUT. Seems to be working quite fine in Adobe Premiere. Like I said, if it was DaVinci Resolve, you don't even have to use a LUT. You can play around that software is so dope. You can play around with it. You can create your own look. Well, you can do the same in Adobe Premiere, but I just find it more user friendly and more effective in DaVinci Resolve. But hey, this is an Adobe Premiere tutorial, so let's get into it, guys. So now what you want to do is, how do you put on your LUT to create that look, or to do your color grading? Alright, so you go over here, and obviously this tab here, new item, you're gonna have to select an adjustment layer, right? So I'm gonna click on that, select adjustment layer, and as you can see, this footage is in 4K DCI, 25 frames per second. I'm gonna keep it that way. I haven't changed anything in the sequence settings, so I left all the settings as is. So okay, and there's our adjustment layer. So now we're gonna have to drag that adjustment layer on top of our footage, right? So I'm gonna drag it over there, and I'm just gonna make sure it covers the whole footage, right? So that's my adjustment layer. So now whatever you're gonna do in terms of your LUT, if you're gonna apply your LUT, it has to be done on that adjustment layer. So you're gonna have to select the adjustment layer, guys. So make sure you select the adjustment layer, and then you can go up. I'm just gonna close my curves over there. Then you go to your creative tab, right? And then here you'll see it says look. At the moment there's nothing there, so you're gonna have to click on that. And if you have LUTs that's stored somewhere on your computer, you can go to those LUTs. And I mean, obviously these LUTs, you can see they are built in into the software itself. So this comes with Adobe Premiere. I never really used any of these LUTs, so I'm just gonna go to the LUTs that I have on my PC. All right, so let's go to LUTs. I mean, you can put now any kind of LUT. It depends on the kind of look that you're going for. Obviously when you're shooting any video, I'm sure you can envision and say, listen here, but this is the kind of look, this is what I want this footage, the end result that I want from this whole video that I'm shooting. You understand what I'm saying? So surely you will have an idea on how you want your footage to look. So now if you have a lot of LUTs on your PC and you've gone through it a lot of times, you will then know exactly, okay, now this one would fit best to this particular scene or whatever. All right, so I'm just gonna go to some of my LUTs, and I'm just gonna slap on this one. This is one that I use a lot. I'm just gonna slap on that one, and now you can see it looks intense, right? And I'm using that word specifically because you need to dial back the intensity of that particular LUT. All right, so now as you can see, this is at 100%. So now we just want to dial it back so we can get a proper look. All right, so I'm gonna dial it back a little bit more. I would say around 30. For me, I mean, obviously, if you guys want to take it up, if that's the kind of look that you guys want, then hey, it's totally up to you. No one can dictate. If you feel that's a certain look that you want to go with that look, no one can tell you otherwise. All right, so I'm just gonna leave it at, like I said, 30, because I don't want it to be too harsh. I'm just gonna show you guys before and after. That's the before, and that's now. If I take the LUT off, that's without the LUT, and that's with the LUT, without, with. And now what you can do is you maybe just go and check again if your skin tones are proper, everything is in place, and I'll just go back to my effect controls. I'm just gonna increase this one, make it 100%. I'm gonna use the same spot, his forehead, opacity, select, draw your mask it out, go to your lumetri scopes, and now if I check my lumetri scopes, my vector scope, you can see that it's still on that line, so my skin tones are proper. All right, I'll just cut there and I'll bring it back to full screen. All right, so now let me just check my scopes again if I'm 100% happy. And as you can see here, your blacks are not crushed. There's still a room to play with. Your highlights are not crushed. There's still a room to play with, and I mean that's exactly what you want. You don't want to crush your blacks, and you don't want to crush your highlights. So make 100% sure, guys, whenever you do basic color correction, or even if you are doing your color grading, that you do not use your scopes. I mean, in my case now, I'm not using a proper calibrated monitor. This is a LED monitor. If I had something like a 10-bit monitor, I'm sure that would have helped me a lot in terms of my color grading, because I think that's the one thing that I'm still kind of struggling with, because this screen doesn't really give me a true reflection of the footage that I'm color grading. But that's where your scopes are coming in. So your scopes are your guide to show you exactly, listen, am I doing this too much, or am I doing this too little, or whatever the case may be. All right, so use your scopes if you do not have a proper calibrated monitor. All right, and then obviously you can also check your vector scope over here, and then make sure whatever you've done to your footage, it stays within these lines, so it doesn't cross these lines. Because remember, another thing you must also take into consideration is what we call broadcast safe. Your footage needs to be broadcast safe, but obviously for YouTube and platforms like those, you don't really have to worry about broadcast safe that much. So you can play around with the video footage, or overkill it however you see fit. But I mean, when you're doing something for television, there are guidelines, so you need to stay within that broadcast safe guidelines. So make sure that you guys are always checking your scopes. Very, very important. All right, I do not see anything else that I would do to this footage, guys. I mean, obviously here, if I now click on my adjustment layer, remember here you can also still play around with with your look. There's a faded film if you want to add. As you can see what happens there. It gives it that faded look, if that's what you want to go for. Sharpening, I mean, obviously if your footage might be not sharp enough, you can maybe do some sharpening. Add some vibrance, whatever. If you need to add more saturation to the LUT itself, you can do that over here. So there's a lot of things you can still do in the creative tab. But I think for this tutorial, I think because I mean, obviously now you see now what happened when I moved my or added some faded film. Obviously if you check the scopes, obviously it takes away some of the blacks and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna put that back on 0. All right, yeah, so that's just the basic color correction and color grading, guys. I mean, obviously there's so much more to it, so you guys will just have to play around with it. Like I said, you can create your own LUTs, you can download some LUTs and slap it on your footage, but first things first, make sure that you color correct your footage first before you do your color grading. That's I don't know, maybe some other people will disagree, but I think that it works best that way. All right, so don't do it the other way around. You can't color grade first and then do correction afterwards. It has to be the correction first, color grading afterwards. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you've learned something. Yes, please guys, play around with your footage, shoot something, anything, and play around with it. Like I said, first things first, make sure that you do a proper white balance. Now, I mean, you can do it in camera as well, so you must check your settings, your white balance settings. You can do it in camera or you can do it in post. It's totally up to you. So that's the first thing. Then you would do your basic correction, and then you would do your color grading. So like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this, man. It was really fun. Maybe next time I'll show you guys how to do something in Davinci Resolve. If there's anyone that would like to see, it's totally different, same principles, but totally different and more fun to do it in Davinci Resolve. If there's anyone that would like to see me do something in Davinci Resolve, I'm not an expert, guys. I'm still learning. Please don't be too harsh. So yeah, man, I'll be more than happy to do so. But thank you so much, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. Please share this video with your friends, guys. Please like, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get updates on upcoming videos. On that note, guys, I'll see you guys next week, Wednesday. Have a lovely evening and a lovely weekend. I'm out.